Hello, fellow Bintegers. Welcome to another episode of the Binteger podcast. My name is Benny. I'm your host. The Binteger podcast, where integrity calls and wholeness responds. So glad we could spend some time together. We're diving into an interesting question today, and the question is, how long is it before integrity kicks in, or the feeling of integrity for one who's pursuing integrity? And I'll tell you a little bit of a story of how this came to be the theme for our podcast today. I have a list of things that I go through, like thoughts and ideas that I've written down along the way, and I usually kind of go off of that. But there are times when something happens along the way, an experience that I've had, something I heard along the way, something someone said to me that sparks some new exploration that I also want to process with you guys. And so this is one of those. This past weekend was a fantastic weekend. I'm at the tail end of it. It's evening here. I'm just preparing this and my other podcast before I go to bed for a very busy week. But all that aside, I was on the dance floor a couple times this weekend. So much fun, like so good. And then I was also at a house party. And I mean, as you're listening to me, you're probably thinking, "Wow, what a rich social life I have!" And I really do. I've got some beautiful friendships that I have developed over time. And as I invest in these friendships, these settings where we get together and have time with others that we enjoy spending time with, it is so glorious. It's so good. And so, a couple of times this weekend, I heard the feedback given to me by a few different individuals about, the one was on the dance floor, like we danced a bit, and then we were talking a little bit afterwards with this lady. As we were talking in the aftermath, today, chatting back and forth, she said she's looking forward to getting to know me better because she's heard so much about me from our mutual friends. She's heard so much about me from our mutual friends, and she's like, I want to know who you are and what you're about. And so I'm like, oh, you heard about me? This is intriguing. I want to know more. What did you hear? And she said, nothing to worry about. Like, unless I think that being awesome is not cool. so that was one experience. A couple of other experiences where some other mutual friends had told this one new person who was attending and visiting our group, and this person, she'd heard a lot above me from these other friends, and so she already had a heads up about this Biniam guy that she had to meet and have a conversation with. And then of course there was another one who was an out of towner visiting, and she was just sharing about how she really appreciates our interactions because she sees how much thoughtfulness I put into the way I present myself in the world and how consistent that is. And that's an affirmation for me as I was hearing that and saying, okay, my display of integrity is not only resonating with me, but it's also resonating with those that I'm sharing space with. And then furthermore, one other new guy that came in, and he came late, but in a very short span of time in our conversation, he was fairly impressed, I guess is a good word. He was blown away with the depth that we dived into in the midst of a party setting, right? But the depth we dived into, we dove into in relation to our conversation and just what it means for us to be present in who we are. And so that was also really intriguing. But all this got me thinking, dear Bintegers, about how long is it before one feels this sense of integrity that they have in their lives? How long before they're like, okay, now this feels good? Because is it right away? Is it over a span of time? And I'm going to share a little bit more about that after we do our feelings check-in, which I've not quite dived into, but let me give you a quick feelings check-in. The feelings check-in is my way that I devote to being honest in the moment and making this a practice ongoing. And that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast in the moment. I don't batch produce and prepare ahead of time. I want to be able to record in this moment on a daily basis. Here's me connecting with you guys. Here's me giving you 15 minutes of my day. And my plan to do this is for the next year, for the next full year. I want to be able to commit to doing this with you all day in, day out, just kind of sharing time with you. Where I spend my time, I'm very selective. Like one of the organizers that I was volunteering with this weekend on another event, she was just so appreciative. And I told her, I'm very choosy about where I invest my time. And where I invest my time, it means a lot to me. My time means so much to me because I have only so much time and I don't want to waste it. And I want to invested in things that really matter. And that's why this podcast is one of them. So this time that I share with you guys is so important for me. It's so important, and it's my way of investing in you guys. It's my way of extending my legacy of what I want to impact your lives with specifically. And so it's a big deal. And so when I spend even time on this podcast talking about integrity, this is my way also, this is my opportunity to say, here's where I'm at in this moment, practicing integrity with myself as I touch base with where am I emotionally feeling right now. And I just do this a few moments before I actually press record to say, how am I feeling? And then I use these cards called the Love Smart cards. And I find these really helpful to be able to give me more specificity in the words that I'm going to choose to describe. And so on the one hand, I'm feeling a little anxious. This is unpleasant feeling that I'm feeling in this moment, because I got a call from my supervisor at work, and he was mentioning that we are down a couple more guys at work, which means my workload has increased even more, and it'll be a challenge for me to get all the work accomplished with my team, given our few bodies short that we have to try and get the job done. So I'm feeling a little anxious about that. I think I can do it, but it's going to be daunting. And then on the other hand, I'm feeling both blessed and pleased. And I shared with you some of the experiences I had over the weekend that left me feeling blessed because I am surrounded by people who I seem to have been surrounded by people for a lifetime who really care for me. But even in this current season, the friendships that I've been able to develop with these beautiful people in my life, it's left me feeling blessed, so that when they talk about me with other people, they usually have very gracious things that they talk about, and it leaves me feeling really comforted and encouraged and inspired to keep on, because they've seen consistency in the few years of our friendship, to the extent that they praise me just generously and lavishly. So I'm feeling blessed, and I'm also feeling pleased because I got a bit of time with my kids today. I spent the day with the kids. We went out for lunch with my ex and the kids, and that was just wonderful to laugh together and just spend time together, and that filled up my cup. And so I'm also feeling quite pleased, and yeah, I'm feeling full. I'm so grateful. So much to be grateful for. And gratitude for me, it's not something I have to work hard at. It's just something that's just like, it's obvious. It's like I've been in this space where the things that happen in my life, man, I am supremely grateful. Let me just review a few words here quickly before I dive into exploration that I promised. On the unpleasant emotion categories, I'm sharing these with you so you have some more words to be able to tuck away in your minds for when you need them. So here are 5: miserable, helpless, hatred, regretful, and frightened. Once again, miserable, helpless, hatred, regretful, and frightened. May those considerations or options serve you well, even as I get onto the pleasant ones, the pleasant emotions such as interested, ecstatic, proud, blissful, and friendly. Once again, interested, ecstatic, proud, blissful, and friendly. Well, friends, let me dive again into the question that I posed earlier, and that is, how long before one feels integrity? And the answer in short is, it depends. It depends from person to person. But I think we can say this across the board in our human experience. This pursuit of integrity is not like a destination we're aiming for. Rather, it's an ongoing, continuous process where you strive towards it and you grow in it. It's an ongoing process. One of the things I often try to say is, I am not aiming for perfection. This is not by any means something that we're aiming for. And I'm going to make this point in just a couple of moments here. But pursuing integrity does not mean that we're trying to be perfect. Okay, it's something that we are on a day-to-day striving towards. And so in my own reference point, even though I'm devoting my whole focus on exploring and studying and elaborating on and articulating and conceptualizing and painting a picture of what integrity could be, in all of this, it's not in any way to say I'm a guru and I've arrived. In no way. I am like one of you striving. I'm a fellow human being coming alongside you saying, let's together row towards this trajectory where we increase and grow in experiencing integrity in our lives. That's what I'm doing. And so there may be some who understand it more than others. That's one thing. But the very heart of this pursuit of living in integrity and growing in integrity is that together, collectively, we are growing into that space that says, okay, here's what it looks like for us now to be able to step into this zone. So that's what I want you to hear really clearly from me. Some factors to consider in the length of time it takes for you when you first begin pursuing integrity to when you're like, I'm starting to feel the effects. I'm starting to feel the experiences of what it's like when I walk in integrity. And once again, let me just define what integrity is. Integrity, very simply, is when your internal values, your internal principles, or your internal beliefs match or align with your external actions. It's trying to bring alignment between your internal core beliefs and your external actions. That's at the heart of the definition there. So some factors to consider in experiencing integrity is an increasing sense of self-awareness, or an increasing sense of reflection for yourself personally. And what this involves here is you doing a deep dive and saying, what are my values that I really subscribe to? What are the things that really resonate with me? What are the beliefs? What are the principles that I'm sowing and investing in, that I'm like, this is really important? And then how do I align my actions with those values, beliefs, principles? And this introspection of learning and discovering what those core beliefs are will take some time. It'll take some time for you to unlearn some things perhaps in your past that you were taught and saying, I'm not sure that resonates anymore, and this is far more compelling and I want to strive for this, for example, right? And so it involves evaluating your past actions and trying to have a deeper understanding of why you did what you did, or how you transitioned or navigated. It takes consistency and accountability as well, doesn't it? It takes consistency as you try to bring alignment. If you're saying, I'm going to pursue integrity, but you only do it once in a while, there's no consistency to make it compelling. This is a commitment that is going to touch every aspect of your life, everything. Like, integrity does not leave you any pockets that are to your own where it doesn't have to be expressed. Everything is going to be touched as you touch base and bring in that alignment. And the key factor that brings that compelling nature is, are you able to do this consistently over and over and over again and make this a pattern and a habit in a lifetime? And so holding oneself accountable for the actions that they've done and their behaviors while they strive to bring that alignment between their actions and their values is really important. Learning from mistakes is a really important part as well. Like I said before, integrity does not mean we're pursuing perfection. That is not what we're designed for as human beings. As human beings, we are going to be messy and make mistakes, but the key thing is, are we able to acknowledge and learn from those mistakes? And then are we able to make amends when necessary? Especially for us guys, saying, I was wrong, I'm sorry. Like, those are some significantly difficult things for most guys. And then, as I was sharing with you my story, my experiences over the weekend, it also involves building this momentum, this consistency, whereby trust continues to accumulate and your reputation continues to solidify. So those you're interacting with are like, okay, this person is consistent this way. And they're starting to build that reliability in the consistency of your actions that are aligned with your beliefs. And this involves being reliable and honest and trustworthy over time. It's not like you can go to someone and say, hey, can you see me as one who has integrity? No, that's going to take some time for them to be able to do their own intel. And so you'll start seeing that in the communities that you're spending time with, that consistency that builds over time to build your reputation. See, each person's journey, my dear Binteger, is unique. We're all so different. And so some may feel that they are approaching that sense of feeling that they have integrity sooner than others. And it really depends on your cultural background, your personal beliefs. Perhaps it also touches on your experiences, your values, your influences in life. All of those kind of wrap up together to be able to help determine, when do you start feeling that sense of integrity? If you're not feeling it, it's not game over. It just means, hey, continue striving in that consistency factor where your internal values are being expressed externally in your actions. Remember, my dear Binteger, this is not a race. Take it at your own speed. This is not a destination. Don't try to say, hey, once I get there. No. Think of it as a day in, day out commitment. On my end, this is what I'm doing every day. I'm striving every day, trying to align over time. And so that's what it takes. I hope this has been encouraging, inspiring. If you aren't there yet, keep going. I want to cheer you on. I'm your cheerleader on the sidelines saying, let's do this together. You got this. Thank you so much for listening in on this 16th episode. See you on the next one. Bye.